do that, or do you just?
No, I manually did some files because there was a certain, I don't know, maybe it was just me not knowing, but I couldn't get a mod folder working for certain things that I was changing. I was changing some clothes and stuff like that, and I was just like, right, fuck it, I'll just do it manually. But I could replace them back to normal. I've got all the originals backed up anyway. So.
Okay.
But it's because I'm trying to work on it. So. Oh my good god.
Yeah, we were having a very interesting discussion. Thanks. Very exciting to be here, Andrew.
Right, let's start again. I've literally ruined everything. Hello, I'm not even going to bother with the rest of the stuff. This is a series. Hopefully it's going to be a series of streams about the cinematic tools. Okay, I just need to recover from that. Right, and yeah, I mean, it's going to be a weekly thing. And hopefully, you know, we can sort of learn how to use the tools together. If I don't know something about the tools, because I certainly don't know everything about the tools, then perhaps we can work it out. And if I can tell you something about the tools and perhaps help you create some content, images or films or whatever, then we can go for that. Talking of images and films, I have, of course, as I mentioned several times, got three very special guests with me today. Firstly, the creator. The foundation for all our work, really, Hattie Wattie, aka Matty, who created the cinematic tools. We've also got Chris, aka Hood Operator, off of all the incredible cinematics that you've seen in Battlefield, particularly recently with the official stuff that Chris has managed to do, which is awesome. And who else?
Come on,
Birdu. That's it.
I don't know, some guy.
Yeah, some guy that Hattie said did something with pictures or something. I don't know. No, of course, Birdu, who, you know, joking aside, and I have a lovely relationship with Birdu that I enjoy greatly. He is my, you know, he's the reason I started screenshotting, to be honest, in the first place, because I saw how amazing he could make things look. And I wanted to do the same. And luckily I did it, and now I'm better than him, and it's all good. So that's it. That's all I've got to say. So firstly, thank you very much. Thank you very much if you're joining us here. And particularly, thank you very much to these three guys for coming along on this, the first episode, which I hope, now I've got my microphone working, is kicking off in style with these spectacular guests. Captain Sniper, thank you for following. So welcome, chaps. It's amazing to get you all here together. I think it's fair to say that in this particular TeamSpeak channel, we have probably the most recognisable names in Battlefield community content. Would you agree with that? I mean, let me start then by saying something to Hattie, and that is, I don't think many of us here today would necessarily be in the position we are today had it not been for Hattie's tool, which has enabled us to do all these incredible things. So firstly, I say thank you for that. And obviously, that kind of extends to everybody that's perhaps enjoyed the work and made use of the work, particularly EA and DICE, who have managed to get great content out of it. And definitely, I think, a community is kind of built around that, because obviously it's not just us three that do stuff. There are many people out there that produce content of all different kinds. And I think it's not a perfect community. I think we could all agree, but it's certainly a flourishing community. Wouldn't you say?
I would fully agree. But that, I mean, the cinematics existed before the tools.
Yep.
Which I think were done well. I did some.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was forced to not use tools as well, like on Breach. There was no tools available till later on, but I, wanted to get a video out, so I did Breach with no tools. Just did it the old way, where you held a knife and you cropped it out and things like that. And that turned out really well, but it doesn't have the edge that Hattie's tools give you.
It's the flexibility, I think, that the
it's
tools
the control. It's the I want a shot hanging from the ceiling here, so I can just move the camera and do that. It gives you the simple things as well as the really complex things, and that's why the tools are so important.
Yeah.
You could take two people that would have the same script, but you could fundamentally have completely different things thanks to the tools giving you your vision, do it your way, and the other guy his vision to do it his way. But whereas if you don't have the tools, you're so limited that you're probably going to end up with similar products.
Yeah, so it really allows that creativity, I think, and the freedom of, to make what you imagine in terms of creating films. I mean, you can do everything that a sort of real life equivalent film creator can do in the control of the camera that you have, and the flexibility that not only camera control, the camera control that you're given, but also over the environment itself and many aspects of the game, including, as I've recently been playing with, skeleton control. So that's character control down to a really fine bone specific level, which I don't know of many other games that have these kind of community created tools that allow you such flexibility.
There's not anything out there in my opinion. I mean, you see GTA putting an entire cinematic mode in because they recognise the power of communities. And that's just kind of like good guy Rockstar really for doing that. But when it comes to what you were saying about EA DICE benefiting from the community, that's entirely true. EA is probably one of the most hands-on community-oriented companies that there is. So when you get people like Hattie that has been insanely dedicated to his own project, which is fundamentally his project, we all piggyback off the back of that, and he doesn't get the recognition he deserves in any way, shape or form. Because if it wasn't for that, I mean, I know Verdu's photos have been used a hell of a lot as promotional stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they're alright, but the same with the video stuff as well. Like selfish way they started sharing my stuff quite on the regular, and now they asked me to do the official trailers as well. But in any brief that was ever given out on them, it's been heavily orientated towards why we're not getting Hattie on board properly with this, because we've run into so many problems if they update CTE. I'm not going to harass Hattie and say, mate, you need to update the tools because I have work to do. It's not his deal. I don't feel comfortable doing that, and I came in agreement recently with Hattie and we worked it out ourselves, and that was great. But personally, it should be a joint effort. You should be kind of maybe, I don't know, subsidised or something. Keep him on call for a couple of weeks while it's getting done, something like that.
I
think that would only be fair. But
you're absolutely right.
I think he gets overlooked all the time.
I mean, Matty may not want to say this necessarily or divulge such information, but if you care to comment, Matty, have you had much support or official recognition? What's been the extent of DICE and EA's contribution to you personally, or perhaps payback or thanks from them? Have you had any?
Well, I don't really know how to answer. I guess something, but not really support. But I think I had recognition from DICE at least.
Okay. I mean, there's the tag obviously. I hope you've had something more than that, because as we just
probably say that I've had a few job offers from DICE.
Okay, is that of interest to you, that sort of work?
Yeah, certainly. If well, I have my education going on. So.
Well, yes, of course. I mean, I keep forgetting
after that, but yeah, certainly it's an option.
Despite your quite considerable skill and achievements to this, up to this date, you're how old are you? You're quite a young chap,
20.
if you don't mind me saying. Okay, 20. So I mean, you've got a bright future ahead of you, I hope, and hopefully, this work you've done will pay off, because
don't leave us, please. Don't.
Yeah, well, do you know, it's funny when there's a patch to the CTE or something, or the vanilla game that breaks the tools, and it's normally only a day, if a day, normally a few hours before Hattie's on it and he's got a new DLL out, or patch the tools, but in that time I am lost. I don't know about you guys, but if I can't do something I want to do, particularly when there's new Birdie will testify to this, when was it the robbery DLC came out with the new maps, and there weren't any tools, and there were new beautiful maps like the museum that you wanted to get in. It was so frustrating, and it was then that you realise just how reliant that we'd become, and how much, obviously we share the content and stuff, but there's, for me at least, I'm sure everyone here, immense satisfaction from going in and doing these things and being creative and exercising that sort of creative gene, I guess. But
you're saying
I'm lost.
Like a drug.
Seriously, that's no joke. I certainly feel.
It's really, like Chris mentioned, that me and him do some official sort of stuff for DICE, and then when the tool's not working, and we just cannot do anything, and kind of awkward to message Hatti, maybe like, oh, could you do this? We're doing this stuff, and at the same time, there's no official support for the tools from DICE.
No, and you've had that as well, haven't you? When you've had things that you've been asked to do, and for one reason or another, you haven't been able to achieve them. But they don't necessarily. I mean, it sounds like we're bashing the DICE team here,
but it's understandable because it's not an official tool, so they can't
No, of course.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they couldn't provide more information on the changes that they make, the things that break the tools.
Something I could maybe shed some light on, though, of late, is because when I started with the Night Ops trailer was the worst one. It was so pushed for time on the brief being late, and then I think the tools were broke twice during that. And it was one of the times was the weekend, and that's when I've got everybody available to film. So losing those days sacrificed so much of the script that was meant to be in it that never ended up in it. So the actual end scenes around the building and stuff were literally done in about a day, because there was a whole build up to that with a lot more guys and various things like that. But because the tools had broke, we had to sacrifice, and the EA production team had to choose the part of the script that they wanted the most. So I had to wait and hear what they wanted the most out of what I had come up with, and they chose this thing, and it was the kind of harder one to achieve with less guys, but we had to just try and go ahead with it. And after that, I was like, this has to be solved. We have to solve this problem. We need to know when it's getting updated, if I'm doing a trailer, and we blah blah blah. So I've been put in touch with the people that will be doing the updates. If I'm doing a trailer again, I should have at least a minimum of 24 hours, or have his full schedule given to me, so I'll know, and I'll be able to say it's going to be updated on this day and blah blah blah. But again, my argument to them, and this isn't me hating on them in any way, shape or form, of course not, but it's like, I can't just go, okay, Hattie, Friday it's going to be updated. Can you be free? Just could you not do anything with your friends? And because when I think it broke on the community map at the weekend, then I hit up Hattie and I was like, hey man, tools are down. Just thought I'd let you know. And I think you were out getting drunk with your friends. You're like, yeah, I'm getting drunk, mate. I was like, cool. And it's like you can't take that away from anyone without compensation. That's ridiculous. I wouldn't ask how to do it. And I see a lot of content creators bitching and moaning that the tools are broken, but it's not Hattie's job right now. And I think that technically should be. We should be, like, this is controversial, but we should be paying for that service that is given, because we get so much back from it. And
well, it's important to remember that it's a free tool that Hattie's developed in his free time, and and he only asks for donations, and I hope I've certainly tried to promote the idea of, you know, donating whenever I can, and I think other people do as well. But I don't know. I won't ask Matty how regular that is, but I hope he's getting something out of that, at least to cover some basic costs.
I think it's enough.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Do you? Well, I mean, you are. You would never say, I don't think, if you didn't think it was enough. But you're just that kind of chap. I get the impression. And this is the first time I've actually got a chance to talk to you, which is nice, because we've chatted a bit on Steam and stuff, on Twitter occasionally. But
just seen something in your chat. Imaginary Blueprint says, will this information be given to just the two Scotsmen?
Yeah.
It's likely just going to be passed to me, because I'm going to be dealing with, say, a trailer. It's only going to be given to me if I'm, say, dealing with a trailer.
Mm-hmm. But that's information that's not useful to you particularly, because that's information you pass on to Hattie.
Yeah, it's basically for me to liaise with Hattie and say, look, just a heads up, it's likely going to be Friday when it's updated, blah, blah, blah. It's not necessarily to say, Hattie, be available on Friday. It's more so just to give him a heads up, just in case he's free, that he can take a look at it. It's just an extra little contingency plan is all. You know. But my argument was we need to push it harder and maybe get him compensated for these times or something like that. I don't know if that would ever happen, but I'm certainly trying, because I can't do the work without Hattie. Sure.
Yeah. I don't know if Hattie necessarily does it for the money. I mean, this project you obviously started as a passion. Was Battlefield 3 the first program that you created a tool for?
Yeah, it was back when I don't remember what the exact name was, but there was a program for Battlefield 3 that like let you edit everything. What was it called? I can't remember. But
yeah, I know the one you're talking about, I think.
And I started like editing cameras with it. Like, I've always been interested in cinematics and stuff, and never created any, but still interested. So
okay.
Yeah, I started creating. Then it was pretty hard. It was with Cheat Engine, and of course it was pretty complicated. I made some tutorial videos, and then I started thinking there must be a way to make this automatic and easier to use, and then I started learning C#, I think. Right. Yeah, and made the first tool, which was pretty bad. Well, I mean, it worked and everything, but you know, it was pretty bad, I would say.
Bad in sort of functionality or user friendly. Right.
Wise, it wasn't as good as the Battlefield 4 tool we have now.
Okay.
But the BF3 tool is pretty good. I mean, there's surprisingly amount of options.
I've not actually used it, I must say.
I don't think it's got much popularity.
Yeah, it's good. You
can, not as much as Battlefield 4.
Well,
yeah, but it has some great. You can do environment changes with it, like sun and fog and all these little things.
Yeah, that's pretty much what got me into programming.
Yeah, I really like that tool.
Good reason to get involved.
How long ago was that BF3 then? So it's 2 years before, so 4 years ago?
2012 or something like that.
Yeah, I remember
so
that.
3 to 4 years
ago. And 2013, I think.
So you're only 16, 17?
18 probably.
18, okay. I mean, had you had any programming background before that?
Well, I mean, I've always tried to teach myself, but if you don't have any projects you want to do, it's not really any use. You'll get bored.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing that's just from a screenshotting perspective. It sometimes, you know, you get sort of, you've done the maps and you've done as many character poses and things as you can, and then something new comes along, like a new map, and suddenly you're reinvigorated and you've got, you know, new stuff to create with. And now I've found, well, now I'm using Maya on a trial basis. now that's another thing for me, and so now it's all about Maya and stuff. So I can certainly understand how new content in a way can drive you forward. Are you looking to create a tool for Need for Speed, maybe?
Yeah, sure, when it comes out.
Yeah, which is going to be a while.
How long does it take you to make tools for this? Like when you did Rivals, how long was the project?
What you're saying is, how soon after Need for Speed comes out can I screenshot in...
Yeah, I don't know really. It's hard to estimate. Maybe a week.
But can you like use your old assets from your old tools and just
sure.
build it around that? Like,
I mean, like basic functionality within a day, for sure.
Oh. Day. Okay. Can you do like 12 hours? 5 hours maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
I remember when Hardline came out and you tweeted something like, took you, like, you had one Coke and that was it. While you imported the stuff from BF4 or something, so.
Yeah, it's not that hard, really.
Well, what about if they make adjustments to the engine, like upgrade the Frostbite engine or something? Would that make a difference?
Yeah, that might be harder, of course. Then you have to reverse all the stuff. I've been using some cheat forms. They usually do the reversing for me.
Oh.
That's always fun. There is a good side.
I take it though from the iteration of Battlefield 4 through Hardline to even Star Wars, the engine hasn't actually changed all that much. The same hooks might still apply. Is that right?
Yeah, well, there are some pretty big changes, mainly with the classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront is quite different in a number of ways.
It's not too hard to figure out.
Well, it's not hard for you. For me, I'm like...
Yeah.
Then of course they've been lazy using the, what's it called, Denuvo, the anti-DRM software thing, which pretty much makes it 1,000 times harder to reverse.
I mean, I don't I mean, I've got no programming background at all, so it's often you take for granted that he can just fix a problem that happens with it, and you know, I suppose I try and provide, you know, error information and stuff, but it's not always what Hattie needs to fix the tools.
It's a lot of Googling and figuring stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, so you're self-taught basically, is it?
Yeah.
You've not taken any. That's not anything to do with your study at the moment, presumably.
No, not really.
Okay.
That's what makes it more impressive for me, though, is someone that's just got a overriding passion for something. So, like, I'm going to learn that regardless.
Yeah.
You know, they don't need to go to university for it. It's, people seem to have this kind of roadblock in their head that if I don't go to an institute and learn it, there's a big difference between having a drive, or sort of more emotional drive, on wanting to create something or achieve something. You do it in a different way that sometimes actually works out a lot better. I mean, when I look at those tools and know that you've done that off your own back and that it was more of a passion, the amount of stuff that you've got in it is insane. A lot of people would have like got the depth of field work and the field of view work in, maybe camera work in, something like that, and then went, cool, it's done, you know, and that would have been it. But you've went bone tool, you've went animations, you've went down all these routes that a lot of the stuff I don't even use, like, and I never will. Like the bone tool, I really appreciate it when someone does it well. I was talking to Shadow yesterday about it because he did the Hitman type thing, and I was like, that was really good, because I know that the hands are a bit of an awkward thing to adjust in the bone tool, and it looked really, really natural and good. So I wouldn't personally use the bone tool because I do video content, and if I can't get a natural looking motion, I ain't putting it in. There's no point. So when it comes to photos and stuff, it's such a powerful tool. But as I say, it's all down to Hattie deciding I'm going to put this in because it's there. It's just, you just see me keep adding.
Yeah, I mean, do you think you've done all you can with the current BF tools? For BF4 anyway.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I haven't had any new ideas.
Because at one point you were toying with introducing assets like buildings and things?
Yeah, that was one thing. I don't know, it's fairly complex. You would have to reload the map and everything.
Right, yeah. So it's probably not possible for you to be able to spawn in assets in the same way that you developed the tool to spawn in effects, which, by the way, was another massive set.
Consulted No Fate from the Venice Unleashed project, and I think he said it's pretty hard.
Right. Okay. That's fair enough. I mean, I had a lot of fun with the effects. I have to say, being able to spawn in your own, little bits of flame and all the gun effects as well, like all the particle effects, basically. There's a lot of fun to be had there.
I mean, if it's not too hard to reload a map, then I guess I could make some kind of an object spawner.
Just add everything to that. I mean, most games when they have, this sort of camera tools and mods, it's always like one tool for one thing and another tool for the other thing. Like if you look at mods at like Witcher or something, it's always like that. But this has everything, and it's just so easy. And I don't think even Hatti knows what every button does in that. Like if you go to environment settings or something, there's so many things to fiddle with. Yeah, so sky's the limit.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of made my way into the tools with the environment side of things, because I'm not a filmmaker. I would freely admit that I don't have the patience or the imagination, I don't think, to create the story, and to presumably what you do, Chris, is imagine the scenes and how it's going to all play out, and then do you write it down? Do you formulate some sort of written script?
Yeah, I've done script for years, like for other things, and when it comes to game making scripts, it always has to be limited to what is possible with the engine. Is the worst part of it. So there's so many ideas that are there that it would be like, this would be amazing, but it's not quite achievable.
Have you got an example of that, maybe? That you can think of? Put you on the spot.
Best way would be, an inherent problem with the Frostbite engine for cinematic purposes is getting in and out of vehicles. It's just the kind of spawn in it, they spawn out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's something you can generally fake from certain angles, yeah, fair enough, but it doesn't look good enough, so you'll notice that things like that are just clipped right out of any of my videos, because if I can't make it look genuine in any way, it's just gone. I'll just bin it. And that's just a really small thing. There's a lot of really grand ideas that sometimes I'm trying to still pull off, and that's where it starts becoming a workaround, even with the tools, because you're trying to work around what the engine's limits are.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of newcomers like accepting the engine's flaws, and all engines are flawed when you're trying to make a movie out of it. Frostbite has one of the best animation systems, but it is still hugely flawed in many areas. And a lot of people will accept that flaw and leave it in their shot, which is really detrimental to what they've done, because they've created such an amazing shot, but they've left something in that the engine continually does.
Yeah, and it takes you out of the immersion of the...
Yeah, because you're now noticing something you shouldn't be. You should be noticing the scene, but then you're now noticing, oh, why is that guy flinching like that? It's weird, or it's weird, or it's awkward. So
particularly with... Sorry, go on.
It's just a question of like framing or working around what you know is going to happen. Like learn the engine as much as you can, and once you know what it's going to do, then you can avoid it for every next production that you do.
Yeah, so it has got little quirks and foibles with some of the movements and things, and the some of the weapon changing things, and like you say, some of the animations going from one pose to another, or moving over objects and stuff can look a bit strange. And I think I was talking about this with someone the other day, but I think the human eye picks up very quickly if something human, if there's something unusual about the human form, the characters.
Yeah.
I think because we're so used to observing other people and the natural movement that if something doesn't look natural, it's picked up very quickly. And as you alluded to earlier, something like the fingers with the bone tool, if it's not spot, and I spent bloody ages trying to get the shot that I did today with the jet, the guy standing by the jet, trying to get his right hand to not look freakish. And that took like the most amount. That's the majority of time was spent on that, and it is all about, as you say, looking natural.
Yeah, I mean, you can take the same shot in 5 minutes or the same shot in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And if you really, hone the little details, it's gonna look amazing. But if you just do it quickly and it looks unnatural, then it just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the best examples of workarounds, or what is needed to be worked around, is reloads. Reloads on video usually look bad unless it's a certain angle.
Yeah.
Because, well, one, the pistol, the slide doesn't go back when you fire it.
No, only in first person. Yeah, I found
that. When he reloads it, the slide slides back really awkwardly slowly when he pulls the clip out. So the actual action of that being a separate entity that does slide back, but they've not put it in when he fires the gun, I personally find is a little bit crap, because it would have been such an effective shot to have pistol firing properly. So anytime pistols are getting fired in anything like mine, it's from the back, or it's slightly shrouded, or I'm doing it from the front where the muzzle flare covers the gun, things like that, so that we don't see that slide is not moving. But then back onto the reload of like rifles, for example, there is huge major glitch with like the arm that goes down to get the mag out. He just he takes the empty mag down, touches his hip, then the mag comes back up. So it actually just looks like he's pulled the mag out and put it back in. So it looks kind of awkward. Doesn't look like he's changed clip for one. So I personally hate that. And also when he slides the clip in, it doesn't go straight in the gun, and there's a slight glitch on the right hand side of the where the mag glitches right through the gun.
Right, yeah.
And then certain guns as well, when he cocks it as well, his hand goes right through the barrel or right through the scope and various things like that. So all of that has to be removed. And I see a lot of people just leaving it in, but that's a thing, as Shadow was saying, it breaks your immersion immediately because you went, what? Hand just went through that? What is it, a Terminator? So it doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of that. And one of the worst ones is when you activate a knife animation. And you'll have seen me use knife animations a lot during cinematics, because personally they're one of my favourite things that they've done. Like, there's so many different variants of the knife animations, but when you go into it, like if you get a guy walking up to him, then going into the knife, if you don't activate it at the exact point where the animation starts, then he's just going to teleport to the location of where the thing starts. And through my eyes, one, where the guy comes out the tunnel and they're looking over the islands, and the guy comes up behind him and goes into the knife clutch, that took days to get. Literally days, because we had all the stuff coordinated in the background, and he had to go into the knife clutch, and then the jet was going to fly over the corner, and it had to be so perfect for the transition to work into the next map that guy, the enemy that we went to knife, had to turn at the right time, and he had to activate the knife at the right time. And we practiced this for like a day, and we eventually got it. And then when I put it into editing, there was something I never noticed, that when he finishes the animation as well, the actual hero guy that done the knifing teleports up and then down again for no reason. Like his feet come off the ground and he goes straight up, straight back down again, in like too many frames to remove. So I was like, right, I can't fix this. So we had to go and refilm it again, and you'll notice if you watch it again that goes into the knife, blah blah blah. The camera gets really close to him and looks up over him to see the jet coming in, I think it is, and that is literally to cut him out of frame because of this teleporting thing.
Right.
And that's the workarounds that you have to go through, and that's the things that a lot of people don't do, but it's a thing you should try and start doing. Is if you notice a problem and you don't feel it's good enough, then remove it. The best advice I could ever give for any video making. Yeah,
and I think that's what separates, filmmakers from, good filmmakers, and almost certainly why you were, you know, asked to produce official Battlefield content, because they can guarantee that you know, there's going to be you've got a quality mark in it, and it's not going to drop below that.
Yeah,
it's the same with Birdie as well.
Control. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Birdie is definitely the same. I mean, you can look at all of his photos, and you might not like certain things just because it doesn't do anything for you, but like certain ones you'll look at and you just go, wow. Like the Uncharted stuff and things like that way back when, they were all pretty flawless stuff. But that's because of quality control, and I think that's something that a lot of content creators need to impose on themselves. And it's up to you what level of quality control you have as well. Depends how seriously you want to take it. And if you want to take it seriously, you need to be really, really hard on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I think if you do something, you should probably try and do it to the best of your ability.
Absolutely, but I mean, there's obviously some people out there that are hobbyists, and you know, what they do and the way they do them is absolutely fine, I'd say.
Yep.
But you know, a lot of people came to me and asked advice, and I've gave a lot of people advice, like personally.
Yeah.
And I've had to rip people to shreds as well, like, because they want a brutal critique, and it's like, this should have went, this should have went, this should have went. If you take all of that out, you've got an amazing product.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time they don't, as much as they say I want a brutal critique, they don't. And as soon as you tell them it, they're offended, and it's like, well, you know, why should I actually start helping when people ask? Because it's sort of encouraging hate. It's like, I'm wanting to help you. I want you to be better at what you want to do. And the best example of that is that Horndal guy of recent time. He came to me with a product, and he said, give me a critique. And I said, look, this is incredible, but it's very through my eyes.
Yeah.
I was like, and he's like, well, you were the biggest inspiration. I was like, well, that's amazing. I was like, but you've got so much originality in there as well that the originality is getting overshadowed with what other people know from Through My Eyes. I mean, the video went viral and things like that. People are going to remember where they've seen this before. So what are you going to do about that? And he was like, well, do you want to help? And I was like, yeah, I'll give you some advice. I'm not going to hold your hand too much, but I'll give you advice. So he sent me draft after draft.
Right.
And I said, remove this. And he removed it. And he did exactly what was asked. And then what he was left with was all his originality. And personally, in my opinion, he created one of the best videos of recent times that had its own identity sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he only, 16, 17? Which makes
I don't
it
know
even
the guy
more
really.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think he's only about 16, 17. So he actually wanted to be better. He listened instead of getting offended at how harsh I could be.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up with and I won't need to help him again in future. Like he's got it down now. He knows what to avoid, what to exploit, and what his strengths and weaknesses are. So that's what's more important. Finding your own original idea and vision is totally achievable, and he did it, and he did an amazing job of it. And I think more people need to be harsher on themselves.
Yeah, it's really hard for some. Like, if you have a perfect shot or a perfect scene, and there's one tiny flaw in it that ruins it, many people just don't want to get rid of it. They're just gonna sit and okay, let's leave that there. Like, if there's some amazing screenshot and there's some horrible clipping there that once you see it you cannot unsee it, but otherwise the shot is really great, then you just have to get rid of it.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. I think not perhaps being as perfect as
screenshot wise, clipping and some like really low quality assets or bad textures or something. Like instantly when I freeze the shot, I always check is the gun going through the shoulder, or is the ground textures floating, or is there really some like ugly looking rock somewhere, and if there is, then just move along.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of discipline involved in that, certainly, particularly if you spend a while creating the shot that you think is going to be really good, and then it.
Well, I know you know that firsthand, Shadow, because I watched you do a stream, and I think you were in that project. I can't remember. I only dropped in when I was taking a break, and you were using the bone tool. You moved the guy's head and blah blah blah. You realised that his scarf had the little clip on it. I think his chin or something was coming through, and you were like, right, okay, let's just Photoshop. You had to go to Photoshop because you loved the shot so much that that's what you had to do. And I mean, that makes perfect sense. But that's again what Berda and everyone's talking about here, is that quality control is of the utmost importance. So you seen that issue and you were like, right, I'm not going to sacrifice the shot, I'm going to fix it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Berda, you're not one for doing much in the way of. Do you use Photoshop at all, or any sort of after or post processing software?
No, all the color stuff and everything is done in game.
Yeah, okay.
But if there's like maybe this explosion and there's like a little flying rock piece that's really annoying and it's on the, then I might just use the clone tool and just remove it. But I don't touch any major stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's. I mean, I do tend to do color correction, I must say, in Lightroom, just to get the black at the black level and no further, and the white at the white level. It's little stuff like that, just because it's a bit easier to do for me. Obviously, that's another bonus of the Hattie tools, is that you do have such great control over color and light. And if the light doesn't. If you've got a reflection somewhere where you don't want a reflection, you can move the sun around and, create your own highlights and things, which is pretty awesome.
And the lighting options are my favorite. Spotlights, sun movement, and even like when you can rotate the sky around.
Yeah,
you can change the mood of a shot really by just moving some clouds.
Yeah.
To your left or something.
Yeah.
Do you do... Obviously, I think you said, perhaps, Chris, that you don't really mess with the environment at all when you shoot. Do you ever find the need to do that?
I don't though that much, because time is always a huge factor. And as I mentioned, that that shot back then took us 2 days or more just for one tiny little shot. And I worked the filming crew really, really hard. I'm surprised they're still with me sometimes, because I'm like, for fuck's sake, it's wrong.
Yeah.
do a better job. But it's if you start at an environment in these situations, it means it's more time to get things set up before filming. So no, I don't tend to. I have done before, but I try not to now as much as possible, for that simple fact that time is never on your side.
Yeah, well, that's true. Just looking at the chat. If you do have any questions, guys, that you would like to maybe get answers to, I can't guarantee that all questions will be answered, but if you have got anything, just say in the chat. I was going to ask Hattie, do you still feel motivated to update the tools continually now that you've sort of got them feature complete almost, or do you find it a bit of a chore really? It's providing support this far down the line.
Well, after updates, when you have to fix everything, it's a bit hard to find the motivation, because it's boring.
I can understand that. How long does it take you, roughly, if there's a patch, say, that crashes, causes the crash for the tools on start? Is there, does it take a matter of minutes, or is it hours?
A few hours, probably.
A few hours, right.
Not that much. It's all down to motivation, pretty much.
Yeah, okay. Because that's obviously, as I sort of mentioned before, we take the tools for granted to a certain degree, but I do wonder if there's a way in which we, other than just, delivering small financial packages through the donation system, a way to provide, more motivation or more support. But I don't think there's an easy answer to that.
Well, I don't really know.
No.
New ideas?
New idea. Yeah, okay.
New tools?
Yeah, okay.
That's pretty much the best.
Yeah, that's what would get your... Question for Hoodoo. How do you control people in your films? Do you film with 20 to 30 people so it's easy to get them to listen to you? Or what is your team size, Chris, at the moment?
I think there's about 10 regulars, but getting them all together is tricky. 20 to 30 people is a bad idea. That's not easier to control. That's
no, sure.
A zoo of people that if you have one person that is toxic in any way or bored in any way,
yeah,
you're not going to get any work done.
No, the devil makes work for idle hands.
Yeah, there's a cinematic you've never seen because I had a hard drive failure. It was actually going to be Through My Eyes 2, and it was probably one of the biggest productions we've done. It took us a month, solid work, and we were still getting a feel for the crew, and like getting regulars in. We had a lot of the regulars, but we're still touting out on Twitter for new people, and there was a lot of people who came in that refused to do what they were told, basically, literally refused. Right. And like,
I struggle to understand why people, come to the server in the first place.
If they're not, you don't want to help. If you don't want to be part of it, then don't come in. I'm not going to be offended. I don't care. I mean, yeah, sure. I just want to get the job done, and I've made a hell of a lot of friends out of it. I play games with these people all the time, and I like that as a community inside my own work. And all these people could have been a part of that as well, and I don't see why they would want to come in and just be a bit of a tosser. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But we had a really simple scene, right? We had a couple of tanks going down a hill, and as many soldiers as we could following them and running down the hill as well. Right. And it's like, right, simple thing. All soldiers that are running, main weapon out, main rifle out, and run down the hill. That's it.
Yeah.
One guy, consistently holding an RPG. US soldier as well, I mean, I wouldn't be holding an RPG, it'd be a small for one, but yeah. Also, no soldier's going to run into fucking battle holding an RPG. Yeah. This is just, it doesn't make any sense to me, and I would watch him, I'd be like, right, main rifle's out, right, 3, 2, 1, go. Team is active. You'd see him in the background, switching to the RPG. Why are you switching to the RPG? I'm not. Yeah, you are. I can see you. And all the rest of the film crew were getting really pissed about it as well, because they're having to do a really simple scene over and over again, because I'm never going to use that shot. And he consistently did it about 5 times, to the point the film crew got annoyed at him and told him to just get out the scene. And I was like, get out, just leave the scene.
Yeah.
And then he went off in the background. I said, well, I'll give you a job in the next scene, just stand behind me. So we did the thing. We got the scene done, 1 take, done. And then I didn't mean it, but like I stopped giving him jobs, because I would go to everybody else and I'd go, right, you do this, and I'd get to the point where I'm like, right, I don't really need that extra guy. Let's just try and get this done. And then he just sat on top of the tower on Castle Border and sniped people.
Oh.
And it's like, what are you doing? Like, don't you want to help? He's like, you didn't give me a job. And it's like, so you're going to kill the actors in the scene? That's worse. So we just banned him. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, I'm guessing he was some sort of child.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not just the one time. I just noticed the KF in the chat there said the smoke one was hilarious. That actually is a good point. Yeah, smoke screen, you'll probably know.
Yeah.
The bit that the tank has to come through, it comes through the smoke, and it reverses through the smoke.
Yeah.
I had to have a really simple but reasonably coordinated smokes laid down by 3 people. I was like, right, you guys, you throw your smoke here, you throw your smoke there, and you throw your smoke against the side of the tank, all right? Yeah. He's like, what, here? Threw smoke like a mile away, and I'm like, no, against the tank, mate, just throw it against the side of the tank. It's like, what, here? And then it was shooting, like, and I'm like, no, that's the back of the tank. Throw it against the side of the tank. here, and I was like, right, okay. He's obviously trolling. I was like, right, okay, never mind.
Oh,
he's like, I think you should get someone else to do it. This is too hard. And I'm like, right, okay, fuck off. You know, just get out. It's just time wasted.
And I think incredible.
I think what YouTube has done, and as a whole, is it maybe ruined Battlefield in a lot of ways for the serious players. Was the trolls? You know, it became such a joke, and like there was so many funny things you could do in the game that people thought trolling was a fun thing to do, and the internet's became full of trolls that is, I don't care for it, I can't be bothered. I'm up for a laugh, but that's not funny. You know, you're trying to finish a project, you're trying to make a really cool scene, and someone comes in purely to ruin it.
I think
you have no worth. There's no quality to doing that. I don't get it.
Refer to it just as an element of the internet and people in general, and sooner or later, I guess that's going to leak into every aspect of it, even something, you know, as specialised as filmmaking.
Yeah, it's weird. It confuses the hell out of me because I don't have that mentality. If someone asks for help and I'm willing to help, it's like I'll do what I'm told because I want them to finish their project as simply and as quickly as possible. So, you know, if you don't want to help, don't come in.
Yeah.
No one's going to be offended by that. But, you know, why come in and annoy 10 people that are going to remember your name and just never talk to you again, never get you involved in anything again, anything fun?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Crazy. A question for Hattie. How did DICE respond to the cinematic tools? When did they first become aware of them, and how long did it take for them? Because I think, did you visit the offices at one point?
Yeah, I did last January or December, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Were they, well, I can only assume that they were pretty impressed with what you'd managed to achieve.
Yeah, it's I heard it's a lot easier to use than the Frostbite tools.
Is it?
At least.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can certainly understand that because, you know, as well as doing obviously a good job with the tools themselves, the UI is fairly intuitive once you learn your way around it. Obviously, with anything that is as complex as, with anything that has the sheer number of parameters that you can change, fitting those into some sort of sensible UI for the user to access that wide range of things is, you know, that's always going to be a challenge. But I think for you, I think you've achieved it pretty well, in my opinion.
I'm not much of a designer.
Right. Okay. I would beg to differ, but there you go. So yeah, I mean, and presumably, you mentioned job offers and things. What sort of aspect of the DICE team were they offering you a role in?
One was from the initial release of the Bone tool. I think I got a job offer for technical animator, which I don't know what it means.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, that was pretty odd for me to answer to, because I have no idea what they do. And well, what else? I think some just general programmer, designer job.
Okay.
Nothing specific.
Did any of those? So none of those specifically appealed to you as, you know, like, I mean, have you got in mind, you know, where you'd like to be or what job you'd like to be doing in, you know, 5 years, say?
Well, if I'm going to work for DICE, it would of course be nice to develop the spectator tools a bit more.
Okay. Yeah, well, that would be nice. I mean, if this, you know, if you could have the cinematic tools as, you know, sort of integrated in some way through, you know, to make more of a spectator tool, I mean, that would be incredible. If that would come sort of built into the Battlefield, you know, client, I mean, well, that'd be amazing.
I'm fairly sure they are planning to add something more to the spectator mode.
Do you think? Okay.
In
that's
near
interesting.
future, probably.
Right, that's very interesting. Okay. There's a question here also. How do you make this? This is to Birdu. How do you make the screenshots? Which program? I I searched and tested, but nothing brings the quality. So I guess he's obviously, it's the cinematic tools that we use to create the camera.
Yeah.
So does he mean perhaps how do you achieve the quality? I guess maybe he's referring to the resizing tool, the window, because
yeah, I mean, there's tons of programs you can take screenshots with. So
yeah, what do you use? I've forgotten.
I use Afterburner.
Yeah.
Because wraps, if you resize the window too big, wraps only captures your main window size, so it's useless. Okay. But you can use like DxTory or...
And it's also hideous for system resources, like it.
What is
Fraps?
Hideous? Oh yeah. I don't
it's not good.
But, Afterburner is free and easy, and and yeah, but I don't know. Maybe the quality that he's referring to is just captured in a super large resolution, and that does wonders for details and aliasing. So
yeah, I think that's the secret, isn't it? Really, is oversizing and then shrinking it back down again to a normal screen size.
Yeah.
Just noticed something about Battle Recorder there, Chris, that you were responding to.
Yeah, I kept seeing people saying Battle Recorder, and there's one thing that I do know, Battle Recorder would be incredible, don't get me wrong, like you could do so many amazing things with it, but back in the days when Battle Recorder was a possibility, like when Counter-Strike uses it and various other games use it, that's because when it records it, it'll say output like just a really small file with instructions of what happened. This guy's standing here, this guy's shooting there, blah blah blah. So a text file, shall we say, just giving the instructions and triggers, and then you play it back in the engine, similar to how Rockstar Editor works.
Yeah, and it recreates it.
It recreates it, but they're really small files. The problem with Battlefield is the engine being a modular engine with the destruction and so much changeable aspects. The output file of a Battle Recorder file, for say a whole match, conquest match, would literally be into the gigabytes. It's not that Battle Recorder is not possible, it's because it's just not economical in any way. And it wouldn't be beneficial to most people. So you couldn't like store loads and loads of Battle Recorder files for editing later, because literally it'd be into the gigs, and I don't know how much. But I mean, even 2 gig per file is too much.
How about the Rockstar approach, where it saves like the last 30 seconds or a minute?
Yeah. See, I think that would be a solution for sure, in my opinion. But again,
and only within a certain area of the character, isn't it? As well, that's the other restriction which they use to narrow it down.
Yeah, which is about the only way to do it. But I think with Battle Recorder and Battlefield, people would be wanting to record the entire landscape of what's happening. And I think if they were to, from a business perspective, this is just my opinion, if they were to release something that only captured a radius of 50 meters around the guy, people would probably be like, wait, what? This isn't good enough, because it's, a widespread battle and it's supposed to be large. So people would probably complain. So, in my opinion, like trying to give people less to complain about these days, when everybody complains about anything, I think is probably a good move. And the community needs, in my opinion, needs to be careful what they hope for and complain about, because they want something, but yet they complain about it when they get it anyway. So, in my opinion, a company's not going to focus on something that benefits a small sector of a community. They're going to just focus on the main event. And that's personally down to the way things are handled in the community now, because everybody complains about something.
Yeah, again, that's human nature, isn't it? Basically, but obviously, I think you're right. Battle Recorder perhaps isn't the future, but what Hattie was talking about earlier with regards to a more comprehensive spectator tool, that definitely sounds like a good idea to me.
Definitely, I think the way Hattie's done it and exploited the live system, shall we say, is the best and only way it should be done for a Battlefield game, because it's such a unique engine in that sense. And like, all know ourselves, if we're filming anything, or if there's anyone in the chat that's a filmmaker, You'll go and set out to do a scene, and then something will happen that wasn't meant to happen, but you're like, holy shit, that was amazing, I'm keeping that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I like that aspect of things, and many times something's went wrong in a scene, but it's turned out to be better than the original idea, and it's been kept in purely on that. Or something's happened that it's went, right, that's gave me a better idea now, let's try that again. Now with this thing that just randomly happened, let's try and recreate that.
Yeah.
Battle Recorder removes that, and I think Battle Recorder would start giving less scripted and more generic battles, without things being on point per se. You know, quality control might actually become a worse problem for people, because they'll just be recording battles with randomers and then editing it later.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get the script or you know, fluid. The video might not be as fluid as it could be, because you're not manually going, right, that scene happened here, so we're going to move just a wee bit forward, and this is what's going to happen next. You're going to miss that, because if nothing happened next, then you've not got anything to edit. So, personally, I'm not that huge on Battle Recorder.
We'll do one last question, because it's 5 o'clock now. Question for Birdie to start with. Your influences, do you have any artistic influences outside of the battlefield, or, well, yeah, I suppose artistic or cultural influences outside of Battlefield?
Not really. When it comes to in-game screenshots, I started taking more seriously when I found about Dead End Thrills. You know the site, right?
Yeah.
And the guys who were in that forum there and talking about like proper screenshot. Oh, mom's calling, of course. And the guy who at the forum and take like high quality screenshots, and that's when I really started to learn about, you know, how to do it properly, so to speak. But if you talk about like cultural influence and stuff, then, you know, I just watch a lot of movies. That's about it.
Yeah,
so when it comes to like composing and framing and stuff like that, I've never really studied it, but it's just probably some sort of subconscious learning from watching.
Well, I think stuff like that, composition, you can learn basic rules like, you know, the rule of thirds and whatever, but I think ultimately you just have an eye for it. And
like
something like that comes quite naturally.
Often people ask, oh, how do you take these screenshots? Why, just, you know, and then after we refer to them, you know, it's easy to, you know, to learn the tools and stuff like that. But if you want to make it look good, then just go and read, you know, basic stuff about photography and stuff like that.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that you can learn the technical aspects, but actually creating sort of imaginative and original pictures, I think you just have to have some sort of sense, and the same with filmmaking. You've got to have that imagination and that ability to think these things through and then execute that, you know, in the live environment.
Yeah. On
a set. Chris, do you have any influences film wise?
Yeah, I think I've got a lot. Tying it down to one or two is a bad idea, because I think that, as Birdie says, watch a lot of movies. Just watch a lot of movies. Doesn't matter what they are, old, new, B movies, anything that takes your fancy, and look at them objectively of what's happening with the camera or how they've done a certain scene and why. Is a really good question to be asking when you're watching a film, and take many things from it. You know, of recent times, let's say, storytelling, Scorsese is one for me, but that doesn't really translate perfectly into machine I'm making, really. But Christopher Nolan's camera work certainly does, and Danny Boyle on, say, 28 Days Later was a massive
right.
thing.
Okay, yeah,
that was huge, but that was because of the budget. It was such a small budget, but such an incredible movie, and they didn't use any big film cameras or used digital.
Yeah,
I think it was Sony X1s or something.
A very sort of handheld look, which sort of added, I think, to the atmosphere of it and the raw nature of it, which was kind of an integral part, I think, of the experience of watching that film.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the mistakes cameras can make, but it doesn't affect the story.
Yeah,
I prefer it to feel like the camera is eyes rather than the camera as a camera.
I think that shows through in your work, in the sort of definitive, you know, it's one of your styles when techniques is having that, you know, it's not a stable camera on a dolly, you know, it is much more of an authentic sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very natural camera movement. It's not...
Yeah, it's more of a shoulder mount rather than a...
that's right, dolly. Not a stabilised approach.
That's not me saying that there's anything wrong with dolly cameras and static shots and things like that. They have their place, absolutely, but I personally feel like they don't quite capture the intensity of what's going on, especially in a game environment. We're not filming real people here.
Well, yeah, not just in a game environment, but a game environment that revolves around, you know, war and unscripted events, you know, in theory, unscripted events and, you know, sort of dramatic movements, explosions and things like that. It's definitely, like you say, it adds to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of people in recent times have been kind of hating on the fact that that's the way I do things and stuff, and I'm not going to mention any names, they know who they are, but it's like, if you don't like it, it's fine. Like, I honestly, I don't care. If you don't like it, that's fine. Other people do. And that's the view you have to have as a filmmaker. You think that Nolan makes his films and then gets upset about some of that? No, because it's a personal taste and you need to allow people to have their personal taste.
But you need to make the thing that you want to make, not the thing that somebody else wants you to make.
Yeah, it's like, I'll give anyone their credit. If they want to make something their way, then great. You're making it your way. That's a good thing. Why are you hating on other people for making it their way?
Yeah.
People need to just chill a bit, I think, and just try and focus on what they want from them, their own work. Just go with it. Like, simple. Make it easier on themselves as well. Like, do what you want to do. Play to your strengths, and let other people do what they want to do. Simple.
I think that's an excellent note on which to end this stream. I did say it would be an hour. I'd like to stick to an hour rather than just sort of rambling on. But thank you so much to everyone that's watched. There's been a lot of follows, and I apologise for not, you know, reading your name out and acknowledging it at the time. Obviously, we've been having discussions. I didn't necessarily want to interrupt that every time someone followed, but yeah, there's been a lot of love in the chat for all these guys, and once again, I thank Burdu, Chris, the Two Scotsmen, aka Hoodoo, and of course the Lord and Wizard Hattie Wattie.
Our Lord and Saviour
have all been very kind and give up an hour of their time to come and chat with us today. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following. Thank you for being lovely. I hope we can continue to provide work that people find interesting and enjoyable. And if you don't, that's fine. I don't necessarily want to know about it. Yeah, so thanks, guys. Bye from everyone in the TeamSpeak.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
And yeah, well, again, this is going to be weekly. So next week it'll just be me, and we'll work through some cinematic stuff. And if you've got any questions that I can answer about the tools, I will do so. And you know, we'll try and explore some content together. But yeah, thanks again, and catch you later. Goodbye.
User disconnected from your channel.
How did you